Hello everyone, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new SuperTest video. And today we got two new double-barreled tanks, being the Serpente and the FV225 Collector. And before we go into this precisely, I want to talk about something real quick. There will be timestamps down below so you know if you want to skip it, but I believe it's an important point to make. And that is feature creep, or rather in that regard, damage power creep. Because this is a selection of the new tanks we've gotten in the last 3 months into SuperTest. And there were some other ones which are uneventful, but most of them, like 2/3, 3/4 of the new tanks we've gotten in 3 months have been double-barreled, massive alpha, double-barreled, very unique long deep burst, like 2000 damage burst, massive alpha, long but high burst damage. And that's just a snippet of the tanks which have been released since January 2025. So what do I wanna talk about real quick? Well, look guys, the main problem I'm currently having, and I feel like I'm not the only one when judging common community perspective, is what the hecky is going on? Why do we only get double-barreled high alpha tanks currently in the test server and to the game itself? Look, I understand, once again, Wargaming is a company wanting to make money. And I can see that obviously high alpha usually tends to spark joy. It's serotonin, especially if it's very reliable alpha. There is a reason why the SFAC has absurd stats for a tier 8 tank, or why many players enjoy playing the KV2 or the FV4005 stage 2. Because they don't really think about what is happening to the other person on the other screen, they just see for themselves, oh my god, I've did 2/3 or one-shotting an enemy. Serotonin, you know? And obviously, the Wargaming employees, which are balancing these tanks, they notice that. They feel like, oh, these high alpha tanks are getting played a lot more. So I guess that's what the community wants. But the main problem is, in my honest opinion, this absolutely screws up the game when it comes to gameplay spots. Because oh, so you're playing a low-ish alpha medium tank, or just a normal alpha tank, and suddenly you have to be fighting something like the Bzik, which deals up to 800 damage right into your face with decent armor, or the Can OP-NOR, which has 840 burst potential when it just slams it into your face with massive armor, or the DZT, which is very fast, has good gun handling as 440 alpha. Now we have the Zhongbing, which has the same but double-barreled. You know, this is an insane amount of power creep, and it's frustrating as hell, because obviously everybody likes to have something unique. It makes the game a little bit more diverse, but this literally results into, in my honest opinion, like World of Warships, where we literally have every single new line has to be gimmick ridden. And this time it also feels like Wargaming tries or wants to get the full bang out of their buck for introducing new mechanics, like the deep rifle mechanic of the polished DDs, or the double-barreled mechanic of the stage 2s, or the FVs, not stage 2, of the Yongbing, or now of the Can OP-NOR line. You know, they want to try to get the most value of the development time, the research and development time they put into it. But this, in my honest opinion, and on the opinions of other community members, just hurts the game even more. Because now, literally every single nation, it looks like, has a higher tiered double-barrel gun. And all of these can do a bare minimum 800 damage. Is this really fun on the other side of the receiving end? Because in the end, if this would be a PvE game, I don't care. Like, this is why I adore things like Cyberpunk, or especially Helldivers. there I want to be overpowered because it is a PvE game. If I'm overpowered, it's not somebody on the other side of a screen which feels like, damn, that sucks. No, it is just a computer. That's it. In Cyberpunk, if I'm fully stacked out and God forbid I do not want to play on highest difficulty but want to feel like a superhuman, then I just play that because it's AI in there. It doesn't matter. It's just me having fun. So in a PvE game, such power creep is not a big problem in my honest opinion. Yes, it makes other weapons more useless, like in Helldivers, and it can be annoying when it comes to balancing. But in World of Tanks, it's completely different because every single time, more or less, if you had fun, somebody on the other side didn't have fun. And that will result, slow but steadily, in loss of players. And I believe that's not just a World of Tanks problem. It's also in War Thunder where, hey, oh, you have fun in CAS, I guess the person on the ground didn't have fun. It's the same of League of Legends, where new champs tend to be very strong, or they just want to keep flashy champions which can one-shot other people because it's fun for these people and it results in very great highlight reels, you know? But the other person on the other side is usually never really thought about. So yeah, I dislike this power creep immensely. I feel like it's the wrong decision to taking, and currently the latest introduction of these tanks, sadly enough, showcases to me that Wargaming just wants to continue printing these tanks out. It's very frustrating in my opinion, and I personally don't feel like it is a good business decision. But again, I do not have full access to their database and their player growths or player blades. I do not have access to that. So it's purely my subjective opinion with some objective stats, like from tomato.gg, which I have access to. So I try to make my opinion based on these statistics, and the ones which I hear from friends, obviously usually people which are more vocal about things, they tend to obviously sometimes also be in the loud minority. These are all factors which I cannot influence and see, which Wargaming more or less might see, and maybe I'm just calling crap out here. It's just that when I've played the marathon, I've noticed that, my god, the games were way too fast, and very often it was also partially because how power-crept certain tanks is. A Boraska is the perfect example. It's a medium tank with light tank levels of stats when it comes to camouflage and speed, and really good gun handling, even though the gun is not that accurate, but who gives a poop, because the gun, if it's not accurate, it's not really a big deal, it still does 720 damage in 2 seconds. Prototypo, one of the most favorite tanks being played right now, does 900 damage in, what is it, 6 seconds. Wow, amazing. SFAC, oh wow, it dealt, what was it, 780 damage in 2 shots, and it gets more accurate. Highest stats when it comes to DPG on the server right now, and insane free mark requirements. Is it really that what we need? Do we really need more? I wish to see more tanks based in realism because, let's be completely honest, maybe the H3 has bases in real life. I'm not entirely sure, but everything else right now on this screen... Oh yeah, and the LTC2. No, I'm sorry, this one is also paper project, but everything else, as far as I'm aware, is complete bogus. And again, I know I'm Swiss, so obviously I'm harping Swiss tech tree. It does exist, it could be used. At least these tanks would be real life, but I guess they wouldn't sell, because most of them would just be yet another medium tank. And who wants to play yet another medium tank? Okay, enough rant, let's move over to the Serpente. And keep that in mind, which I just talked about. It is a double-barrel gun. It does 420 damage per gun on tier 9 on a medium, going 60 kph, and if it is doing the double shot, it has 840 alpha, and it has this same mechanic as the SFAC, where it gets much better accuracy. And as far as I know, gun handling, not aim time, because you can't see, it's not there, but gun handling stats we don't see or we don't get. So I've decided to compare this tank to some of the better medium tanks right now in the game, being the DZT, then the Volkadov, which is also a double barrel gun, and the SFAC, because the SFAC is very, very strong. Now, the pen-wise is actually also pretty decent. You have 254 millimeters of AP penetration and 370 of APCR, and that is dead in the center of the 2 tier 9 medium tanks. Obviously, the SFAC is a bit better because it is also a tank destroyer, but it is tier 8. With its 11-second reload time, you have 2000, almost 2300 DPM, which is the lowest of all of these vehicles. The thing is, this tank should definitely be played almost only in double-shotting mode. Why? Changing, or like reloading, takes 11 seconds. Changing the gun takes 8 seconds, so you basically only make up like 2.5 seconds if you have it kitted out with vents and crews and spaghetti and stuff like that. And you can see it takes 2 seconds to do the double shot or preparing the double shot, and after that it's 2 seconds for the guns to be locked until you start reloading again. So your hit to DPM is very little when you continuously do double shots, where you also have more accuracy, meaning you are more likely to hit, and again you do 840 damage. Hey, that's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah, accuracy-wise, 0.36 can go all the way down to 0.26, which is kind of insane in my honest opinion. It has 10 degrees of gun depression, it has a wobbly turret, like, okay, but it has a pretty decently long aim time, 2.5 seconds. It's nowhere near the level of the Volkadov or the SFAC 105. So, let's continue with the mobility, because as already mentioned, it goes 60 top, 20 in reverse. It does not have a lot of armor, but yes, it does do a lot of damages. It has also 23 HP per ton ratio, which is wild. As you can see, nobody of these tanks I decided to showcase to you comes even close. And again, going 60 is very good, and 20 in reverse is also very good. Hit point wise, 1650 is on the lower side, not as low as DZT, but it is what it is. And yeah, you don't have any real armor, 100mm on the hull, which can turret, and 80mm on the hull, so it can bounce some things, but it's not that decent. Also, don't forget the crew is only 3 people, meaning that it will be a very annoying crew trainer for the Italian medium tank line. But then again, you have the Progetto and you do have the Prototipo. Now, let's move over to the FV225 Collector. And this thing actually already exists. It exists on Lesta as under another name, but there it is, a tier 8 vehicle, which is kind of wild. Wild and wild. To be fair though, the Collector does have the same mechanic as the can opener, or a can opener, where if you change your mode, you are slower, you have much less accuracy, but it can do double shots. You can see it right here, you get slower quite a bit, you lose like almost 20 kph, you lose quite a lot of aim time, and your accuracy goes from 0.35, which is pretty good actually, to 1.2. I've decided to compare it to the can opener. Obviously it makes sense to do that, and the ST2. And the thing is, with its just 350 alpha, which is fairly low actually, it does have APCR's standard rounds and heat, which has 315mm of penetration, and its 7-second reload time, we have 3000 DPM base. And as you might know, that is, you're not able to carry on with you a rammer, so you can play this tank quite comfortably with either vents if you really want to, or with HP turbo and stabilizer, meaning you have a very, very potent tank when it comes to breakthrough moments. Yeah, especially the aim time, I am pretty darn happy, 2 seconds. Yes, it's not as good as the can opener, and I'm actually surprised how accurate the can opener really is. But 0.35 is still very, very, very good. The only big lackluster thing is its 6 degrees of gun depression, where the ST2 as well as the can opener are far, 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 far better, making this tank go very, very odd. To the speeds, as you can see, it is quite quick compared to the other two. It has 43 kph top speed and 25 in the normal mode, or the, in the double shot mode. 12 kph in reverse, could be better, could be worse, and its HP per ton ratio is 16, which is actually pretty darn good, like it's better than both of them. Hit point wise, 2100, very little, compared to the can opener and the ST2, with the ST2 with 2500 being very, very good. The turret armor is 250, and the hull is 152, and it has 5 crew members. 390 view range, also not too bad. Now, one thing I want to showcase to you is this thing does already exist on Leicester. And obviously, please keep in mind that Leicester and World of Tanks do not work together anymore, but there before the split, that is important, before the split between Leicester and Mir Tankov and Wargaming and World of Tanks, they obviously still had a shared database because they used to be the same company. Right now, they do not work together anymore. However, it does mean that some tanks are similar, and the Collector being one of them. And obviously, the stats are different when it comes to whole armor. It has 150, and you can see the turret armor says 150 compared to the 250 of the Collector we are going to have. To be fair though, I still believe you should be able to see quite a bit of this armor, know what is coming towards you, because this is 152 right here. And again, do not forget we have here 250, right? And depending how the, what should I say, these stats cards are made, because we have 203 here, we have 250 on the gun mantlet. So chances are that maybe this spot right here will be thicker on the tank, but the arm model itself should be very similar. This is 100 millimeters thick, so it might be 152, although this plate is 152, so I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt, because right now I'm comparing it to the 50B, which has pretty decent penetration, but it's not anything really remarkable. And you can see the 50B does not have any issues penetrating that. But again, keep in mind, this could be thicker, and this right here might definitely be thicker, but the gun mantlet is fairly thick. But as you can see, this tank has also 6 degrees of gun depression, so if we take this gun depression, you can see the armor becomes quite frankly much thicker. The main problems are the spots down here, which might be not 203, but 250 millimeters thick, and this one up here, which might be 200 millimeters thick. Again, pure speculation. With gold ammunition, not much changes really, just this spot gets easier to penetrate. So yeah, it looks a little bit like a weird hole in the Bisonte turret, but again, take it with a grain of salt, which we just showed here. But that's it. These are the new vehicles which are coming to World of Tanks. And now I believe we have one more thing to do. And this time I do hope the codes are in focus. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about these new vehicles. And don't forget to subscribe. And when you manage to stay until the end of here, look at that. It looks like codes are now in focus. Yep, I do believe they are. Yeah, look at that. They're much more in focus now. So, first come, first serve. The first ones, the fastest ones will get these codes. Good luck. Have fun. I still need to throw them away. My name is RagingRaptor. See you around. Cheers. Now I'm not in focus. What the f